Welcome to part 3 of my build of the quarter-scale Jerry Bates Cessna 172 Skyhawk. This video is a slideshow of a voiceover of some pictures I took while building it. Day 12. I began the morning by gluing down the other half of the bottom of the plane. Then I made some improvements to my stripper. I glued a strip of 3mm balsa under it to make the knife blade lean over a bit. I then opened it up to 10mm and cut a lot of strips to use as planking. And here you have the front of the fuselage planked to behind the main gear. I am now looking forward to sanding this. I can't do it quite yet though, because the rest of the balsa skin has to be applied first. Day 13. I decided it was a good idea to put the steering tackle in the fuselage before closing it anymore. I also decided to do it the way shown on the plans, because if I try to hide this stuff, it will just be difficult to access later. And so I installed beams to carry the servo tray. The servo tray is then glued on the beams. A steering arm for the pull wires is installed on a pole in the middle of the fuselage. The servo is placed immediately in front of it and the shortest of push rods added. And here are the tubes for the pull wires. I used some piano wire to see to it that the tubes were straight to the end of the fuselage. Day 14. Did not do a lot today, just managed to cover the port side front with 3mm balsa. Day 15. I want to add an overhang to the tail fin and stab to close off the hinge space. I can do this with strips of ProSkin, but first I have to make a tool to thin the balsa skin a little bit. This is a simple cross of plywood with a 10mm strip of sandpaper stuck to it with double-sided tape. The tool is used to make a groove where the strip of ProSkin will come. The strip of ProSkin is 15mm wide, so the overhang will be 5mm. And this is what it looks like when the rudder is added. I made a push rod from an arrow shaft and an M3 threaded rod. This will have to harden until tomorrow when I can add it to the fuselage. And I also added the 3mm balsa skin to the starboard side of the fuselage. Day 16. Very short day today. The electricity in the shop shorted out and I could not get it going again. The circuit breaker I had been told to open would not stay in. The only thing I finished was installing the push rod for the elevators. I got it to length and put some balsa sticks around it to stop it moving up and down. After this, it was darkness. Day 17. A week later, due to a bad cold or flu, I've been lying like a wet rag all week. You might even hear it on my voice if you listen carefully. Today I imagined I was well enough to go and do some building. Fortunately, the electricity in my shop had been fixed. I started by making up and gluing down the balsa boards for the back of the plane. Then I finished the covering on the nose. The last thing I had energy for was to make up the covering for the port side of the fuselage and then glue it on. After that, I needed rest. Yes, I know, I'm old. Day 18. The complete board skin is quickly added to the port side of the fuselage. Now I only need to plank the rest of the fuse with narrow strips. I began with the top of the cabin, and then I tackled the port top corner. The worst thing about planking is that very quickly your fingers are covered in hardened superglue, and it takes all day to get rid of it again.